Hi, I'm Kayla. I am an artist who is helping other artists pursue peace and whimsy in their lives. But what I wanted to talk to you about today is what it was like for me to go from Michigan to Indiana for Purdue in 2016, as someone who planned to go by a new name and different pronouns than what I had been going by. Basically, I was taking this opportunity to be completely out, and I was pretty nervous. I watched a lot of videos about what it was like to go to college, what I needed to pack, what people recommended, like what advice they had after going to college. And now that I've done the thing, and I'm 27, and it is 6 years later, I want to contribute to the pool of YouTube videos that inevitably people who are in the position that I was are going to be sifting through, looking for advice and comfort. So, if something is still sticking out after I go over everything as something that you have a question about, feel free to put it in the comments and I will take a look. But I'm guessing that you are probably a mix of excited and nervous. That's perfectly fine, perfectly normal. That's how I felt. Just for a bit of additional context, I was preparing to go into the Polytechnic School at Purdue. My major was web design, well, technically web programming and design, and I had a minor in data visualization. So if you have any questions about those particular things, let me know. I liked my classes. I even liked some of my gen eds. The gen eds being things, classes you have to take that aren't directly related to your major. Everyone will have to do it. Some people do those at community college and then they transfer those over to a different university. How you want to do it is up to you, but that's beside the point. We're talking about you leaving home for the first time very soon, probably next month if you're watching this in July. August was when I started. I had just turned 18 that month. I actually needed my parents to co-sign some of my student loan documents because I wasn't old enough to do so alone. So everything was very new and very fresh. Newly an adult and moving away. Yeah. Immediately, what comes after that for a lot of people is homesickness. I would say so, even if you have a rocky relationship with your parents, maybe, even if there are things you don't like about your current living situation, I would say it's still likely that you will feel strange because you're in a new environment. And if you have siblings that you were close with, you might feel guilty for moving out without them, especially if you had any type of issues at home that you know your siblings are staying in without you. That's going to be hard. I won't lie, that's going to be hard. But you'll get through it. And for me, my parents were divorced, and I just felt bad leaving my siblings when they weren't always having the best time switching houses. That's what I felt bad about. You might get there and your family starts crying, maybe. That'll be sad. But just because this is going to be a sad part of your new journey doesn't mean it was a bad decision. Okay? You might be like me. My first day in the dorm, I was crying. I even had other people around me. I had two roommates because brief side note, I was in auxiliary housing because something colleges like to do, doesn't matter the college, they all kind of do it. Something they like to do is accept more students than what they can realistically house because they are banking on some changing their mind or choosing a different college that they were also accepted into. But usually, what this results in is an overflow of students where there aren't enough dorm rooms. In that case, you go into auxiliary housing, which sometimes is just like a one bedroom apartment, and maybe you have two roommates instead of one. That actually wasn't so bad for me. It didn't feel super crowded. There was a bunk bed and then a single bed, and I didn't mind the bunk bed. Of course, I did sleep on the bottom. I don't know how my roommate who slept on the top felt, but we're beside the point. Um, where was I going with that? Anyway, my first day in the dorm, I was stressed out even though I had two roommates. That was why I had two roommates. I was in auxiliary housing. I had two roommates that I got along with and were actively hanging out with me. I was still sad. I was still beside myself. What is really going to help you at that time is staying busy. You got to keep your mind occupied with other stuff. So for me, that meant I was watching movies with my roommates. We were getting dinner at the pizza place on campus. I'm not talking about Hot Box. I'm talking about Mad Mushroom, the better one. West Lafayette Purdue students will know. Uh, Stay busy. And along with that comes a piece of advice I have for you, which is take advantage of your campus's resources, especially if you're going to a big old campus that has a bunch of stuff like a gym. If it has a gym, it's probably going to be free for you to use with your student ID. Use the gym. It's awesome. Even if you don't know how to use any of the equipment, someone there can show you. People don't bite. I I had a really pleasant experience meeting new people in college. Not to say that every friendship I had was without any bumps or anything like that. When you go to college, you will experience how to manage relationships, how to manage when you and your friend get into an argument. You'll have a lot more of those experiences all of a sudden because you will be away from home. So you're living with these new people, you're in classes with all these new people. You're just seeing a bunch of new people all at once, so it's going to be heightened. Um, you're going to learn really quickly how to manage relationships with your friends or significant other. One more side note about that: you don't need to date in college. You can. Nothing wrong with it. Nothing wrong with not doing it though. Don't feel pressured. I don't know why I had this idea that I was going to find my soulmate in college. That's not necessarily the case. Don't feel pressured to do that. There's a whole life ahead of you after college. I had never thought about what that was going to be like. My only concern in high school was what I was going to do in college. So when college was over, I had a new reality to reckon with, which was that I was in a position that I never thought I would get to, where I completed college and was living adult life after that. I had never considered what that would be like, and it was really scary for a while. That's not to say that I have everything figured out now, but I live in a house with my friends. I did get jobs in my field. I decided to leave those. That's a topic for another video. I currently do like a mix of different jobs now. I kind of cycle from job to job. Um, that's a whole nother topic. But what I'm saying is I'm safe. I have a house, I have food, I have friends. I have a bunch of cats. It's pretty cool. Along with that, I want to say we're sort of getting to the general advice portion of this video. I do promise we will get into the practical, like what you should pack and all that. But I do want you to hear this part too, because it's really going to shape your experience, okay? I If I have any regrets about what I did in college, it was that I was always so stressed out. Do you know what? I failed the class. I failed the class because I was too anxious to submit an assignment that was a recording of me speaking. I didn't want to do that, which is ironic because now I have a YouTube channel, but I just really didn't want to do that. And so I didn't, and I was like, it'll probably be fine. I'll pass with like a D. But I got like a D minus or whatever the lower grade was that didn't allow me to pass the class. I failed a class. And it was like kind of an easy class. I still graduated with a 3.1 GPA, I believe, which isn't like anything to write home about. But as I said, I did get positions in my field. I did get web design jobs. It's fine. Not even all web designers have a college degree. That's another thing, too. Another side note for you. If you are in like a design field like that or programming, I would say that a good portfolio of your work is pretty much as good as having a college degree, if not better. The college degree on your resume gives an employer an idea of your work ethic. Which college you got into might also carry certain what's the word? Ideas about what kind of a worker you would be. Like, I hand in a resume to a manager who's hiring a web designer, and they're like, oh, well, she's kind of young, but she went to college for web design and did decently. So she probably knows something. She can probably handle hard work if she graduated college. That's the sort of thing that college does on your resume. But kind of getting back into the like lifestyle advice of it all in college. I know it's easier said than done, but if you can at all convince yourself to relax and stay grounded and enjoy it while you're there. What's going to happen after college? That's for later. I mean, do your homework. Don't just like not care about it, but everything in balance, you know? Study, yes, but spend time with your friends because after college, you don't know where they're all going to go. Especially if you moved out of state for that college, it's possible that they did too. Or maybe they are from that area and then you go back home. And that is the last time that you are there every day with them. I'm still friends with my college friends. Oh, my timer is going off to check my crops in my game. Do that later. Ugh. I'm still friends with my college friends. In fact, this month, I will be meeting up with all of them to go to an anime convention, which is something we do at least once a year. So if you're like, am I gonna make any meaningful friendships? Yeah, you could. You could. It's gonna depend a little bit on how open you are to it. The way I made friends in college was I took advantage of my campus's resources. I was in the what's it called? Like the GSA, the LGBT club basically, where you go to the Pride Center and you hang out and they do like activities there. I didn't really end up doing that a whole lot after freshman year, but it was a good way to kind of put myself out there and see who all was attending. I only regularly spoke to one person I met there after that. And it's partly because we were also in a speech class together. One of the like gen eds that we had to take no matter what. And I actually Some of us told her this in our senior year, but in our friend group, a couple of us didn't like one of our now friends at first. Like, we thought she was annoying. And she was like, dude, what the heck? But we were like, no, no, it's just like you were very extroverted and, you kind of like in our personal space. Like, we were teasing her about it. But if you're introverted or not very outgoing, I would keep an open mind about the people who are reaching out to you to hang out. Give them a chance because they could be your best friend. Let me make sure I touch on all of my little advices that I thought of. Another piece of advice I have before we get into some of the practical stuff is is really try not to be a perfectionist. I know. I know. But listen, it's gonna stress you out for no reason, and then you're gonna be pissed off because you were stressed out for no reason. Allow yourself to change and grow and experiment and make mistakes because you will. It's just that time of life where you're figuring things out. You're gonna accidentally hurt people's feelings. I know I wasn't very emotionally intelligent when I started college. Not to say that I'm perfect now, but I'm definitely more aware of my feelings now than I was in college. It ended a friendship. If someone is doing something that bothers you, just tell them. It's going to hurt their feelings a lot more if you build up resentment and snap at them. Just just learn how to communicate your feelings and your boundaries. And if you don't know what those things are, work on figuring them out. I can't get too into like how I learned to do that. I think that's also another video. If I'm mentioning any like side comments in this where you're like, well, I want you to talk more about that, let me know. Let me know in the comments and I will expand on it. But you're gonna make mistakes. You're gonna do some social fumbles. You might fail a class. You might be halfway through your major and realize that you don't like it. It is actually very common for people to change their major. So don't feel bad if that's what you're gonna do. I don't care what your parents say. It's it's almost a parent's job to like judge everything you do. You are the one who has to live with the decisions you make. Okay. So if you are doing something just because you want to appease your parents, it might be easier in the short term, but in the long term, it's going to suck. You're going to have to spend time undoing things that you didn't really care about. Like if you do a whole major that you don't really care about, but you did it because you wanted to appease your parents, you'll eventually burn out and you will have no choice but to change paths. It's fine if that's what happens. It's not the end of the world, but I'm just saying it's going to be a lot easier if you learn how to hold your own and understand yourself and your needs and your desires. Okay? You're allowed to have your own wants and your own feelings and your own boundaries. I guess that's one thing I learned in college was that I was my own person who didn't need permission to be the way that I am. I'm allowed to have feelings. I can have thoughts that are conflicting with other people's thoughts and opinions, and that can be fine, can still be friends. I can tell people when something they're doing is bothering me. It's not going to be the end of the world, and if that person makes it the end of the world, maybe that person is not compatible with me. You'll learn a bunch of stuff about yourself like that. But that's kind of my like older sibling advice for you. Let's get into some of the practical. I was searching for what kind of questions people have when they're going to college, and I couldn't really find anything other than like, what do I pack? Or things that were program specific. So I'm mostly going to talk about, well, actually, I'm going to show you in a minute what my dorm room looked like. But what I'm saying is, if you have a question about the experience that I don't cover in this video, please let me know, and I'll maybe like make a short about it. I'll answer you in the comments, or I'll make a follow-up video where I answer your questions. So please feel free to put it in the comments. I think it will be more interesting for me to just show you an archived college vlog that is basically a dorm room tour where I'm a junior in college and I'm showing you my single room. If you're curious, it's in Hawkins Hall at Purdue. It's a Hawkins single room. So that's what I'll be showing you. When you're a freshman, probably not going to have a single room. You're probably going to have, well, I'll show you I'll put a picture on the screen of what you're probably going to have. Assuming you're not in like overflow housing. It's going to be a little small. It might even be a little claustrophobic. But ideally, you won't be spending too much time in your room. So I think that makes it a little easier to handle. Your room is mostly going to be for sleeping and like maybe watching movies, playing video games, studying, sure, but you can also, hopefully your college will have like a library. That's what I'm saying though. Use the resources available on your campus. There's probably a lot of cool ones if you're going to a big college. But I'll show you what my single dorm was like, and I will be going over things that I think you should pack. It's going to be the same no matter what kind of dorm you're in. You will probably have community showers, community bathrooms. Unless you have like a suite situation where your room is connected to another room by the bathroom. In that case, you're sharing your bathroom still with a bunch of people, but not like a whole floor, just like probably 3 other people. If you are in the situation where you're going to be using like the community bathrooms, though, it's just kind of like a public bathroom. And then there's a separate half that is divided with like a curtain, maybe. Or it's like a separate area of stalls. It's either going to be separated by little curtains or stalls. I've seen both. I know Earhart at Purdue has the stalls. They also have an accessible bathroom. Yes, they have a wheelchair accessible bathroom as well. Like where you can shower. But don't worry, you'll have your privacy. Get a little shower caddy that you can put your shampoos and soaps and stuff in. Have your little towel or two. Laundry will differ building to building as well. When I was in auxiliary housing, which the housing I was in as an overflow student, like as someone they didn't have enough room for, that doesn't exist anymore. They tore it down and built something else. I don't remember what it even is, but it was Purdue Village, I think is what it was called. So shout out to anyone who lived in Purdue Village. It doesn't exist anymore. I don't know what they built in its place. What was I talking about? Yeah, we had quarter laundry. So you go to the bank, get a roll of quarters. Be like, hello, the bank. May I have a roll of quarters, please? I have an old ass washing machine. And they'd be like, yeah, and give you like $10 worth of quarters. So that was interesting. Don't leave your shit in the washer and dryer for forever. People will eventually take your stuff out and put it on top if you leave it in there. for a super long time because there's like other people waiting for it. I'm just telling you that's what they're going to do if it's in there for too long. You don't necessarily need to stay with your laundry and watch it, but I would have a timer so that you go and get it pretty soon to when it's done. Don't just be leaving it in there, man. People hate that. What was it called? In Hawkins Hall, the basement is where all of the laundry is, and there's just like rows of washing machines and rows of dryers. And there, you swipe your ID to do your laundry. You swipe your ID and you pick like what machine you want on the little screen. That's how you pay for it, and then you just reload that card with laundry funds. Printing stuff. You can get your own printer. I know at Purdue they give you a printing balance. I think that's pretty standard for most universities, where they give you like a balance of I don't know, like $50 or something. Whatever they think will get you through a semester of printing documents. I forget when they reset the balance, but you might not need to have your own printer in your room. You can probably go to the library and print stuff. You might even have it in your dorm. I see a lot of dorms have like a little print stand. Some class buildings might have printers set up for you. Something to consider, something you might not have thought about. I mostly had to print documents for like classes where I was writing, like any of my writing classes I had to print stuff out so that people could edit it. Anything else I want to mention? Just really try to be nice to yourself. It's every freshman's first time being a freshman in college. Your professors know that it's your first time in college. Okay, they understand. They want to help you. In fact, a lot of them have office hours where they'll say, this is when you can come visit me in my office if you have any questions. And a lot of people take advantage of that. Sometimes they'll do study sessions too. Like if there's going to be an exam, they'll be like, oh, here's an extra class period if you want to come ask questions and go over review. I would recommend doing that if you're at all nervous about a test or if you're not getting the homework. Yeah, don't be afraid to ask your professor questions. They'll be more than happy to explain it. Or your TA. If you have a teaching assistant in your class, they'll help you as well. It's kind of their whole job. Don't worry about being an inconvenience or anything. It's their whole thing. It's kind of their job to help you. So take advantage of that. But I think what we're going to do now is I will show you the vlog that I recorded from my Hawkins room. And it's going to show you my little dorm room. Remember, it is a single. That's something that you'll probably be able to sign up for as like a junior or senior. Maybe a sophomore. Usually underclassmen have a roommate just because of space available. But it's a single room. So I'll show you all of the things that I packed and kind of how I have my area set up. There's something specific that I want to do before I have to move out of my dorm, and that's a dorm tour. It is the Tuesday of finals week, so I'm gonna have to start packing up my stuff pretty soon. I move out on Saturday. When I was getting ready to go to college, I was trying to look up videos for what to pack and like what you would need, what a dorm room is like. So I wanted to make my own contribution. This is a single room, so it's a little smaller than like a double is gonna be with 2 beds. I guess if I go over here, I'll show you kind of like the whole room. Got a desk right here. It kind of wraps around the whole room. Actually, this is a dresser, but the rest of it is a desk that wraps around the room. Right here, I have room, just enough room, for a mini fridge and a microwave. On the wall here, there's like a little bar to put your towels and such. I keep some of my shoes right down there. There's a big door here with a mirror, which is nice, except like if you want to take a mirror selfie, you have to take it with the "for your safety" in an emergency sign. Next to the door here, there's a closet. The closet has enough room for like a laundry hamper. Make sure to pack hangers. You don't want to forget stuff like that. I keep my paper towel and like cleaning stuff up there, and some extra clothes. It slides like that. There's like a couple hooks in the closet, like for a robe or for coats or whatever. I have a bin of more shoes down there. I have a bag for hats and scarves and gloves and stuff like that. There is just a random chair in my closet. The dorm comes with a chair for your desk, but that chair's ugly. I don't want that one, so I brought my own chair. You'll need some pillows and blankets for your bed. This is kind of weird. That is storage. Some of the stuff here is not stuff that I started with as a freshman. Like, I didn't have this coffee maker for quite a while. Dude, it's like raining outside. I have this whole shelf area above the desk. So I keep you want a couple of cups and like bowls. Maybe like a few forks and spoons and stuff. That's for depending on the sort of meal plan you get. I have a 13 meal plan. So that's enough to have lunch and dinner every day, except Sunday. On Sunday, they're not open for dinner. So if you're going to be eating breakfast in your dorm, that's probably the easiest because you don't want to go to a dining court before class if you have a morning class. So that's where I keep some breakfast stuff, and then I got a bunch of decorations here. My desk comes with a little corkboard attachment. You might want a little container thing for your pens and pencils and stuff. Maybe a desk lamp. This comes with a lamp, but it's so I don't really use that. I actually forgot that was there. I get a few drawers in the desk. For this one, I just keep a bunch of journals and paper clips, that sort of stuff. Pencils. This second drawer is just for stuff that I had to buy for my design class. That takes up my whole second drawer. And then this one is the biggest drawer. I keep snacks in there. If you don't have enough drawers to keep some snacks and breakfast stuff, I've seen people buy a little shelf stand. So you could do that too. This is where I keep dirty dishes, and I got a little soap thing to wash them. I just put a few washcloths down for them to dry. So since you probably won't have your own bathroom, you're gonna want an area to keep bathroom supplies. So I have both an area up here and below my bed for that sort of stuff. I got this thing is technically considered a shower caddy, but it doesn't have handles. So if you get something with just a few compartments, you can put your brush and stuff in there. That's my ukulele in the case right there. I have actually a lot of stuff stored under my bed. So the height of your bed might vary. Sometimes they give you a not large. Sometimes they give you a tall bed. But if your bed is not very tall, what you can actually buy is bed raisers. You'll probably want a shower caddy, just so that you can carry it to the community bathroom. I have a lot of bins under my bed. The green one is for laundry. You want some laundry stuff, detergent. I think the rest is most of the rest is clothes, socks and workout stuff. This is my bathroom bin. It has tape on it because the lid is sort of loose, so it falls off when I move usually. My dorm supplies me with a trash can and recycling bin, so you'll have to see if yours comes with that. Under my bed, I also have, you can't see it, and I'm not going to pull it out because it's like pretty dusty under there. But I also have a lockbox. You might want that to keep your money in and stuff like that. And if you're going to be working on campus, you'll also need some of your documentation, and you might want to keep that in your lockbox as well. You don't want to like overpack for college because your dorm room is going to be pretty small. And you're also you have to think about the fact that you're going to be moving your stuff again. I have to move out at least every summer. Even if I'm going to be staying in the same room for the next year, because they use my dorm space for conferences and stuff over the summer, and summer students live in these rooms when you're gone. I don't know if I showed you this over here. I have like this other corkboard full of Polaroid pictures and like a print of Captain America that my girlfriend got me. This folder is for checkout. I have to fill that out before I can leave my dorm. I have one poster over here. You'll definitely want a poster of your favorite character. I forgot that I have a TV. Here, at least, I do get cable. It's right there. I keep just like a lot of my cords back here. The reason that there's tape on my window is because our curtain is thin, okay? It's a white kind of thin curtain thing, and I live in the east wing, so when the sun rises, it's really bright in my face, and I usually end up waking up like at 8 or 9 just because of the sun. So sometimes I tape a black blanket to the window. There's really no place to like hang your own curtain. Another thing you might want to consider, like bring some extra blankets, because I use them for dumb stuff like covering the window, but also the gap in this door is actually pretty big. So at night, when the light is still on in the hallway, I take this blanket and do that. This is a little chair that honestly usually has clothes on it. This chair also folds out into a twin-size mattress, and it's probably what I'm going to be sleeping on this summer. I'm temporarily living in my friend's apartment over the summer. I don't know if you can see. I don't think I did this right, but I have those things, those Velcro things. Excuse me. Ah, dang. I have to go buy groceries. You might want like a lanyard. Bring a winter coat if you're gonna go to school somewhere cold. These hooks don't come with the dorm. I bought these myself. They're attached with those Velcro things. I'm gonna show you what sort of bathroom stuff I brought. So you might want like some cold meds, especially if you're a freshman, because you're suddenly gonna be at this university with like a bunch of people, and you're definitely gonna get sick, okay? Like, sorry. I have a shit ton of ibuprofen. This is where I keep basically just Band-Aids, but when I bought it, it also came with like, you might want like a little thermometer. I didn't realize how useful this would be. I've actually had a friend come over before just to use my thermometer. You want to know when you have a fever, because if you have a fever for too long, then you need to go see the doctor about it. I have sunscreen. I never use it, but you might want it. Especially if you're doing like an orientation week where you're going to be outside doing activities. I actually got some bad sunburn. I should have used my my sunscreen. Okay, the next time you see me, I'll be either in another place or... Hello. I didn't go into detail about like the experience of being queer in college. Like I talked about it in my head, but I didn't talk about it in the video. So I'm gonna let college me tell you about it instead. Not gonna lie, the trip to Purdue was a bit of a struggle. So when I finally got my student ID, it says my birth name on it, And I was like, oh no, no, no. There was an option that said, there's a little checkbox and it's like, use your preferred name checkbox? And I'm like, yeah, that didn't happen for whatever reason. So I was like, I was so disappointed, but I didn't want to make a big deal out of it. They don't have my preferred name in their system yet for some reason, so I have to keep correcting people on that, and by the end of the day, that has made me feel really bad. And I'm just tired and ready to be done. I'm really excited to go to college, but I'm also really nervous for all of the usual reasons and more. I'm going to be going by my birth name for the first 2 days, and then when my family leaves, I have to reintroduce myself to everyone. And I've told my RA the situation, and my RA is totally cool with it. I need to lie low, I guess. Or just have it so that I'm clear about what my situation is. My roommates didn't know about it until last night. But they asked about it because it was next to my birth name on all of my papers. And so I came out to them and they were cool with it. They were like, oh, sure, whatever. So that was really nice. That made things so much easier, and I have such a good feeling about being in college now, especially after that. I'm trying to find where we're having the LGBT meeting. It's Fabulous Friday today, so I'm not exactly sure what they're doing today. So I did find the place, okay? I wasn't lost forever. And I did crafts. We made little globes, and it was really cool. A lot of people showed up. Got to talk to them for a bit. I might be aromantic, I don't know. College is a weird situation. Like, being out on campus and just, I guess some people perceive me as a boy and some people perceive me as a girl. Like, when I was in line for that bathroom today, I wasn't waiting by the other girls. I was just kind of like chilling in the corner. And I was closer to the boys' bathroom than the girls' one. And there was this dude who came into the building, looked at the dude's bathroom, looked at me waiting in the corner, and I guess he just went with the idea that I was a dude waiting for the bathroom. I don't know, I've been called sir while wearing women's short shorts, and I've been called miss while wearing a binder. My sister texted me this. She's like, Mom asked me if you were gay. I was like, shit, dude, okay. So she probably knows. She probably knows that something is happening. And then we got on to a more serious topic that started with the announcement that my grandparents would like to visit me next month. I was like, sure, okay, they can come. My dad pointed out that I would have to take my poster, I'd have to take this down, and I would have to take down my name tag that is on my door. I might have to take the buttons off of my backpack. I have a lot of pride buttons on. That was an interesting time, those first few weeks of school. When I wasn't feeling incredibly homesick, I was feeling pretty nervous / excited. First of all, I thought that every new person I talked to would be my friend. I was like, oh, this person likes the same things that I like, and we're talking now. So a lot of the people that I talked to in the first few weeks of school, I don't talk to anymore. I kind of stopped going to the LGBT center too. I might go back there. Overall, I just felt like I didn't really fit in. After I got used to classes and stuff, the one thing that really set in for me was social dysphoria, which I didn't even know existed. But it's like, do you know body dysphoria with your gender? Like, when you're trans and your body causes you dysphoria? I didn't really ever have that in a private setting, but for the first time ever, I felt that in a social setting because I was constantly surrounded by people, and we were constantly doing introductions and meeting new people and presenting yourself in front of a bunch of people, and I guess that's what put me in the position to experience dysphoria. That's died down a lot. I mean, other than the incident where I was like,
yelled at for using the women's bathroom. It's not really been that much of an issue. It's not abnormal if you go through freshman year and you don't really make a lot of close friends. I got lucky having a really cool roommate that I became super close with, and it's nice that I made friends with that one person in my class. And I would meet people, and I would be like, yeah, I'm gonna start going to this club, but then I wouldn't do it, because I just couldn't. It requires a certain amount of energy and time to be social, right? Especially when you're also in school, and you have like homework to do. I only have this much energy. People who are doing a little bit better than me have like maybe this much energy, and like this much is for school and this much is for socializing, and then they have like a little bit left. This is my energy level. This much is for school. This much is for anything else. I have like that much left, which is not enough. Started not being able to socialize anymore. It got a lot harder. I think I've talked before about the dysphoria of being like genderqueer and entering a college campus and having to introduce yourself over and over again even though you're not really confident with your identity. It's a mix of the dysphoria and depression and being busy that has made things hard for me, but I'm still glad that I came here. Still enjoying it enough and seeing enough importance in it to stay. I actually did come out to my mom a few days ago, actually, like right before coming to college, and it didn't go well at all. It was very bad. It could have been worse, but it was very bad. I'm gonna go to this non-binary and trans support group. I still have to call in to set up my orientation date for that so that I can join, and I hope that that helps bring some clarity to my situation.
I hope you found this video useful. Please let me know if you have additional questions, or if you just want advice about something in particular, whether it's about going to college in general or going to Purdue, since that's where I went. Let me know. Put it in the comments. I would be happy to help you out. But before I go, I just wanted to say congrats on graduating high school. It's a big achievement. So is going to college. It's going to be a lot of change all at once. It might be overwhelming. Try to stick with it through the overwhelm so that you can be there long enough to see how awesome it's going to be. All right. Take care. Thanks for watching.